Hello, this is Angela from Advice Resolutions. Welcome to our discussion topic today, which is based on the care regulators of the United Kingdom. So, the reason why I would like to address the concerns about the care regulators in the United Kingdom is because one of our members, and in fact, members of another organisation, appear to be receiving disproportionate treatment from these regulators by reason that they appear to be a person of colour, of the global majority. So, why is this happening? Well, we have deduced that the reason it is probable, most likely, that disproportionately a lot of black people, people of colour, are affected negatively by the regulators. They can be named, of course, they are the SSC, the Social Services of Scotland regulators, and the Care Quality Commission in England may be focusing iniquitously on the person due to race. Now, we know this because our esteemed organisation, Equality for Black Nurses, in the UK appear to be fighting a lot of causes for black nurses because they have been, unfortunately, targeted by the regulators in a number of cases where they are delivering care to the community, the public. And we've been told, and we have seen evidence that around about 62% of black nurses, people of colour, people of the global majority, have been targeted unnecessarily, it seems, after the investigations have taken place and there's no finding. That it's a complete waste of time. You know, they have been told they've done wrong, and then after all the investigation, after all the scrutiny, it's been discovered that they haven't done anything wrong, but yet they're picked on. Well, you know, the function of a regulator is to find out if there's been any potential harm, any possible risk to people who are vulnerable. We're not discounting that. That's really important. We have to protect the public. But there has to be a limit at which people should be targeted by reason that there has to be an investigation to keep the people safe. But when you see figures, numbers such as 62% of black nurses being investigated by the regulators and then no further action taken, doesn't that cause alarm bells to ring? Is there some sort of dysfunctionality in the NHS, the trusts, the hospitals itself, regarding the procedures that they adopt when they're investigating, the facts they take into consideration? Or is there an underlying conscious bias against black nurses? Well, having listened to our esteemed organisation, Equality for Black Nurses, represented by a significantly important person in our community, who is Naomi Bennett, the award-winning designer of the Neo Slip sock. You know, we have to listen to what Naomi is saying because our members have seen and they have experienced the disproportionate treatment from the SSC. And when they investigate and they cross-reference their evidence, their facts against the complaints, and they use a language that is totally out of context, that you can't even imagine has anything to do with the investigation that's actually taking place. In one particular case, when we were asked to get involved, they actually had to abandon the allegations, the accusations being made, because there was never any evidence to suggest that our colleague had done anything wrong. There was no inclination, there was no incontrovertible evidence that there was any breach of any of the regulations of care. So after all that, they put these black people through trauma. People of colour go through trauma issues. They don't seem to be very trauma informed. It's not as if black people, people of colour, suffer what is called the ethnic penalty, which is that, you know, you could be black, a woman, you could be a gay, you could be, disabled, and all of these ingredients making up a person. And then on top of that, people are targeted disproportionately where there's no fundamental basis to doing so. It is enough. It is enough to cause trauma. So I think a lot of these NHS regulations, need to be carefully examined with a microscope. And the people who are doing the examination, they need to be checked. Because I believe firmly, it's my view, that the regulators are not sufficiently appropriately trained to investigate cases. In particular, having a view on the black person of colour's case. I'm not saying that they've got to be given priority in treatment. I'm saying that black people, people of colour, need to be treated fairly. It's a fundamental right. It's their human right. They need a fair hearing under Article 6 of the European Convention on Human Rights. It's your basic liberty that's at stake here. What happens, in fact, when a nurse or a person who's regulated by any of these regulators loses their job? Do you think they're going to get another job easily? They'll have to get a reference. They won't get a reference, so they'll get a reference. And the reference will, essentially say that they were investigated, but no action taken. But was there any need for the investigation in the first place? That's the question that I would put to the regulators. There's a lot of groundwork to be done when you're investigating, but there's also, you have to look at whether or not there's sufficient interim evidence to even investigate and look at whether or not there is disproportionate treatment between people of colour and people who are not of colour when an incident takes place. Now, we understand that our esteemed colleague, Naomi Bennett, was involved recently in an employment tribunal case in which they successfully seem to have got through to the next stage. And that's because the Quality for Nurses are an established organisation. And they have taken on a lot of cases with regards to black nurses, people of colour, who have been targeted by the regulators, investigated iniquitously, and there being no finding. So we've got to look at how these organisations are structured. Is there a framework of institutionalised racism? Is there a framework that does not cease to exist because they want to keep the status quo so they can continue to discriminate against people of colour? These are all the questions that we ask. And considering that Naomi Bennett has had so much experience herself personally with being stopped by the police, and a lot of the questions that you have to ask is whether or not they accept that black people, people of colour, have the right. They have the right to express that they feel that they're being discriminated on the basis of the colour of their skin. You'd think that societal aspects would accept this. But no. Because Naomi Bennett, she will probably tell you, if she sees you, the ordeal she went through when the police stopped her car and stopped her in her car, stopped her moving on, that she was terrorised in a terrorising campaign by white police, who in actual fact had arrested her, taken her away, locked her up in a police cell for resisting arrest. She was driving her car. She stopped somewhere. Presumably she'd been driving. And she'd been with a friend in the car, and the police approached her, and they said that her windows were basically not up to scratch. They were essentially illegal because they were tinted. And when she didn't get out, first of all, which is frightening because you're getting out to police that could probably kill you, because we know that the police can stop you, but you can end up, well, not of this earth, shall we say. And it was a terrorising campaign, an ordeal, and she's got through it. Now, our members have also been detained by the police because they have championed the cause of the person of colour, black person. And they've said to the police that we believe that you are being racist. If you tell the police that they are being racist, they will take grave offence. Now, we do have laws in this United Kingdom that say that you can make a protected act declaration, which is that you feel that you've been discriminated against and you don't accept it, and that you want the person who's doing this thing to you that's illegal, whatever it is that they're doing to you that's illegal, that you don't entrust their behaviour and that you believe that they're being racist. Now, you can call someone a racist because it's a protected act declaration, but it seems to us that the police don't want to be called racist. They want to continue their tirade of being racist and affecting people negatively. So when the law says, when the legislation passed by Parliament, passed by the King, says that we can't say racism, and I doubt that that would happen, that's the day that we will not stop saying racism, discrimination. So police, regulators, anytime we feel that we've been discriminated against as a black majority in the world, we're going to declare that there is racism and there is discrimination, and we will always say it because that is our fundamental, inalienable right to do so. And if that results in going to court to defend our honour, then we will do it. We're going to call out racism, we're going to call out discrimination, and we will do it anywhere we have to because we have rights like everybody else. So if that's the reason for arresting us, imprisoning us and jailing us, you're breaching our rights, you're breaching our liberty, and you're acting illegally. And we won't stop declaring we have rights. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day and look after yourself. Goodbye.